This is it, the final episode of my primitive playthrough of the Appalachian map in Ark Survival Ascended. The final boss to defeat on this map is the Thunderbird. I had saved him for last because of just how far away he is from my home, also the fact that he flies, so I had to tame up a bunch of flyers. Now, I do want to bring the Rex army. I don't really want to, but I'm going to. Now, this is going to be the biggest pain in the butt because they take so long to travel through the forest because they just keep getting stuck. This is why I head home and I grab my Mosasaur, the same way I brought Leo all the way to the desert in order to get to the spirit world a few episodes back, or was it last episode? I don't remember at this point, but I'm going to have to build on the platform. I'm going to do that when I get closer to where they're at, which is just inside of this inlet. Now, I can't go all the way inside of the inlet because, for obvious reasons, the Mosasaur is just so big, so I drop him off and I run all the way back to pick up my Rex army, as well as the rest of the creatures that are there. Even for this short distance of where they are right now all the way to the shoreline, it's still a hassle. For one, the Dinotherarium gets stuck on all the T-Rexes, and look at that, I couldn't even get out. So I changed my mind and I hopped onto the Dinosuchus, which I named Wraith, and it was much easier to get out of the cluster and start heading down the river. Now, once I do get to the shoreline, the plan is I'm going to be building on top of the platform and make kind of like a box or a boat to hold in all of the creatures. Now, I'm not going to be able to take them all in one go. The raft is able to take a little bit more weight than the Mosasaur, but the Mosasaur is limited by how much weight it is carrying, and that's including creatures on its back and what they're carrying as well. So right there you see me on Gammoth, and I'm taking down some trees just so I can quickly get some wood, fiber, thatch, all that kind of stuff to start building. Now, this is not going to be foolproof because one of the reasons is that the Mosasaur kind of like swerves when it swims, which kind of messes up with the placement of the creatures, as well as the fact that it goes underwater, which can make them fall off easily. And look at this right here. I don't know if this is a bug or what. It's saying that that one spot in particular is too far away from the platform when it's the same distance as everything else. Anyway, that is my proof of concept right there. I load the heaviest creature first to see if the Mosasaur can take it. I check the weight, and the weight actually says that it can handle it. It can actually handle a few more creatures, so I went back and I got the Terror Bird and the Rhino to load them up as well. That was just enough for them to fit, so I'm gonna have to do multiple trips, which is gonna happen over the course of the next couple of in-game days, because the T-Rexes are like just over half of the weight capacity, so I'm not able to take two at a time. I do have to take one at a time, but luckily the birds can fly and the Dinosuchus can just swim behind the Mosasaur, so it's not that big of a deal, though it takes even longer than expected because, as I said, it's a lot trickier to move creatures on the Mosasaur because they just simply fall off no matter what you try to do. And you're going to see that right here as I turn around and I notice, oh no, they are way back there. See, the reason is I had to keep looking up. I have to keep my Mosasaur looking up so he doesn't dive down underneath, because that's a guarantee that you lose your dinosaurs in the water. I actually don't know how this happened because I was looking up, I didn't go under, I just kept going straight, and somehow they just kind of fell off anyway. So luckily the ramp is steep enough that I'm able to walk them right back up onto the ramp, though I did it one at a time just to make sure that they didn't cluster and slip off of the ramp, because that can also happen. After dropping them off at the desert, I went back and I started with one of the Rexes. Again, this is going to take several in-game days, which is why it's already into the next day, and the trip is all the way pretty much to the other side of the map, and I have to go around the big island too, because between the island and the mainland, there's just a bridge of sand that the Mosasaur cannot cross. You're gonna see right there where I'm swimming. This is me actually trying to go through that pass, and I end up getting stuck. Now, I cut that out because I was there for like 10 minutes. It was so annoying, and then I had to go around the mountains. Anyway, there is most of the creatures there. I still had like 2 more Rexes that I had to go pick up, plus the RGs, but I stopped because I saw a dog in the water. This is a modded creature, the Dobermann, and it basically uses the Armadoggo model, so that means you do need to have the Armadoggo purchased and able to tame in order to tame the Dobermann. But as I go to try to save it, I wanted to tame it as well. I noticed it was taking damage. I thought something was eating it. No, it just drowned in the water. So I guess it swam out to chase something, and then it just, lost stamina or whatever because it drowned. So I was like, oh, that's too bad. So I decided to pay it a little bit of respect. I dragged it from the water, and I brought it up onto land. This is where I can get a kind of good look at it. When it's not mangled, I could probably get a better look at it. But you can see it's pretty big for a Doberman dog. Anyway, another real life hour or two later of me transporting T-Rexes, I finally have the full army here. I hop onto Gammoth and we begin our march toward the town. The town luckily is not too far from the river, and just behind the town is the mountain where the Thunderbird spawns. Now, I do want to place a bed down just in case, because there's no way in hell that I'm going to be running all the way back. I mean, I do have Leo and Timber who are pretty quick to get around the map with, but I would rather not do that. Now, there's no trees in this immediate area, which means I'm going to have to travel quite a bit away to eventually find a tree. So I go ahead, I grab my thatch, I grab my wood. Once I see that I am able to make a bed, I run all the way back, and I place the bed underneath the archway that leads into the village. I feel like that would be good overhead cover. Now then, that I'm all ready, it is time to face the Thunderbird. But there is a problem. First of all, my Argentavis keep getting in front of my face so I can't see anything, so besides that, I noticed that there are multiple Thunderbirds. This is nothing new. As you've seen the rest of the series, there are times where boss battles can multi-spawn in the same area, which can be dangerous. Now, I have not fought the Thunderbird yet. I do not know how strong it is. Will it be as tough as Nanoh? Will it be as tough as Yakawi, or whatever it's pronounced? Or will it be as easy as Maelstrom or even Goliath? I do not know. So I want to only pull one at a time. Luckily, one lands nearby, so I don't have to fly all the way up to try to grab one. I use my bow and arrow to grab its attention. Now, as it's following me, I lead it back while shooting it up with as many metal arrows as I can to kind of get a head start into its HP before I lead it to my pack, where they start to hammer it hard. Now, unfortunately, it does take aggro to one of my birds, so that means while the rest of the pack was able to get some good hits in, it ends up flying up into the air, which means the Argentavis are really the only ones doing damage now. Now, unlike Mothman, it is slow enough that I am actually able to aim and take some hits in with my bow, which is great because now I can help out too. Well, at least for a short amount of time, because at some point I end up running out of arrows. That's including metal and stone arrows. I did have trank arrows, but that's not going to do any damage, and you can't really trank the damn bird anyway. It would have been cool if I could trank the bird, because it would just fall down to the ground, and then I could have the pack take it on. So right now I'm kind of at the mercy of if the Argentavis can kill it or not. I hopped on top of the Dinotherium in order to get some range there, and then I got struck by something from behind. A second Thunderbird had joined the fray. So this was not good, especially because both of them kept staying up into the air. Though with one of them, you can see holes in its wings, which means it's getting close to dying. So I kept shooting at it. Luckily, one got low enough to the ground that you're not going to see it here, but you're going to see it in a second. One did get low enough to the ground that the group was able to pin it down and completely just stomp on it, while the others continue to fight in the air. With the lack of arrows, I switched to my pike. By climbing up high on this little rock here that I'm on, I am able to get in a couple of hits, though they keep going too high for me to reach. Now, something embarrassing is on one of the rocks that I had climbed on to try to reach up to the birds, I noticed that they were getting too far away. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just go and climb down, only for the fall to be so high that it killed me and I didn't realize it. So good thing I placed that bed down. Also, keep a lookout for droppings that may fall from the sky from the birds that are fighting eternally in the air. Now, right there is where you're going to see one of them had gotten low enough to the ground. See how it's completely pinned and being pounded on? Yeah, you came to the wrong neighborhood, Thunderbird. That one goes down pretty quick, and I do notice that the other one that was up in the air also eventually goes down. Now, I don't know who got the killing blow, so this is now where I go around to check all of my T-Rex to see who got the killing blow, because whoever did would have all of the supplies on them. So that one didn't get it, so I go and check the next one, and yep, there it is. All of that cementing paste, organic polymer, this is the one that definitely got the kill. Now I just need to find the trophy, and I'm going to be heading home. Now, not everyone does come home. I leave the Rexes and the RGs there. I do bring home Gammoth and Wraith and a few others, but yeah, I just did not want to take all that time to bring them all home, so I just brought back who I really cared about, which is not the Rex army, and I set them up because now it is time for a rest. That is it. Our journey is over. The adventure is done. We have conquered all of Appalachia, all of its Denizens, all of the boss battles, trophies, everything. And I thank you for watching this entire series. We are going to be starting a Season 2 relatively soon, because an entire eastern half of the map, well really third of the map, has been added with an additional boss. Now, I don't want to add it into this one. I want to do something completely different, and that's including starting over. So I hope you stay tuned, subscribe, like this video, so you could watch this second season when it does come out. Make sure you also check out my Ragnarok series, where I'm playing it kind of the same way with the same primitive playthrough. Now, I do want to give an encore, and I want to honor all of the fallen soldiers, dinosaurs that we have lost through this journey, as well as showcase off all of the boss battles. But before we do that, I hop on to Dave, because I still need to set up the Thunderbird trophy. It takes quite a while to finagle him to get the right way in order to set up the new trophy. Now, his trophy is meant to go on a big wide wall. I don't have that, I have a rock. So I place some pillars to make it look like it's being propped up in the position that it is. So it looks a little bit better from a roleplay's perspective, and that's it. This is the end.